A prepper walks into a bar. Bartender says, "We don't serve survivalists here." Prepper replies, "That's fine. I brought my own water, MREs, and a Faraday cage for the jukebox." What's the difference between a prepper and a hoarder? The prepper has a plan and a color-coded spreadsheet tracking expiration dates. My neighbor is such a hardcore prepper that when the power went out for 18 minutes last week, he activated full protocol, including the evaluate the nutritional value of the neighbor's contingency. We're still friends, for now. Why don't preppers ever get lost in the woods? Because they always know exactly where their cache is. I told my prepper buddy he needed to get out more. He said, "I do. Range Day, Bulk Food Warehouse, and the annual PrepperCon. That's 3 social events. I'm basically an extrovert." How many preppers does it take to change a light bulb? 1 to change it, and 47 to argue about whether the new LED is EMP proof. A prepper's wife says, "Honey, we need to talk about our finances." He replies, "I know. I should have bought more ammo instead of that second generator." Why did the prepper break up with his girlfriend? She wanted a relationship. He wanted a mutual aid agreement with clear exit strategies and resource sharing protocols. My friend's bug-out bag is so thorough, it has a smaller bug-out bag inside it, just in case the first one fails. Last words of a confident prepper. "Don't worry, I've got this completely covered." Pulls out 17 different multi-tools at once. My prepper neighbor waved at me yesterday. I wave back. He immediately updated his threat board. Neighbor made visual contact. Possible alliance or recon. Increased surveillance. Also, he looks a little lean. Note, caloric reserves. A prepper dies and gets to the pearly gates. St. Peter says, "Welcome to heaven." Prepper, appreciate it. Now show me the secondary exit, the EMP shielding on the gates, and the long-term food stores. Also, is this a drill? What's a prepper's idea of living in the moment? Checking the expiration date on the moment, then vacuum sealing it just in case. What's the worst that could happen? Prepper opens a 4-inch binder. Glad you asked. Let's start with scenario 1A and work our way up to the HOA president starts looking at your dog like it's Thursday night dinner. How does a hardcore prepper say, "I love you"? I've already allocated you 2,200 calories a day in the 12-year plan, upgraded your gas mask to full CBRN, and listed you as essential personnel on the bunker roster. Also, happy anniversary. I accused my buddy of being paranoid. He said, "I'm not paranoid, I'm prepared." Then he showed me the tunnel that leads from his basement into mine, just in case we need to form an alliance. What's a prepper's version of Netflix and chill? Fire up the generator, practice chest seals on a side of pork, rotate the nodular 10 cans, and discuss secondary rally points by candlelight. How can you tell a prepper is an optimist? He only stores 20 years of food, because he's pretty sure the collapse won't last longer than that. I asked a survivalist what he does for fun. Fun? I practice remaining calm while calculating the caloric value of the HOA president. Seeking mutual aid partners skilled in water purification, small unit tactics, and emotional detachment. Must be okay with the master bedroom doubling as the primary ammo dump. No drama, only contingency plans. A prepper's kid asks, "Dad, can we get a dog?" Dad, only if it's trainable as an early warning system, can live on 400 calories a day, and is willing to be the emergency protein source if things go full Mad Max. I saw my prepper neighbor digging in his backyard at 2 a.m. I asked what he was doing. Practicing. Practicing what? Burying the evidence that I was practicing. The power went out for 6 minutes last night. By minute 3, my neighbor had already deployed the solar chargers, locked the dogs in defensive positions, and texted me, "Phase 1 complete. Status?" I replied, "Watching Netflix on my phone. You left me on red. Forever." What's the most romantic thing a prepper can say? If the world ends tomorrow, I want you to know. I already calculated your body mass index for the long-term ration plan, and you're still essential personnel. We'll cross that bridge when we come to it. Prepper. I've already mined the bridge, stocked a raft, and calculated the caloric cost of swimming versus fighting the bridge troll. I saw a prepper at the grocery store buying one single banana. When I asked why, he said, "I'm stress testing my impulse control before the supply chains collapse." A prepper's last text to his wife during the apocalypse. "I love you. Remember Protocol 7, the good beans are behind the false wall. And whatever you do, don't trust Dave from accounting. He always looked too soft." What's the difference between a prepper and a serial killer? prepper has a better inventory system. And the serial killer doesn't offer you a cup of instant coffee while explaining the body disposal contingency. Prepper kids' first words, OPSEC. Second words, where's the cash? Why do preppers never lose arguments? Because by the time you finished your point, they've already evacuated to the secondary location, burned the evidence, and are living under a new identity 3 states away with 18 months of freeze-dried chili. What's the difference between a prepper and a cannibal? 6 months and a failed garden. Why did the prepper smile at the funeral? Because the deceased had excellent bone density, and the family hadn't posted any no trespassing signs yet. How do hardcore preppers say goodbye? See you on the other side, or in the stew. Either way, I've already portioned you. A prepper's final journal entry, day 47. The dog stopped looking at me with trust. I stopped looking at the dog with affection. We understand each other now. I asked my prepper buddy what he'd do if the food ran out. He just smiled and said, "Don't worry. I married a woman with excellent BMI, and the kids are still young enough to be tender." Why did the survivalist bring a ladder into the woods? In case he needed higher ground, or a better view of the approaching raiders. What's the difference between camping and surviving? One has s'mores, the other has s'more protein sources if things go sideways. How do you know a survival class is serious? When the instructor starts the day with welcome out and goodbye to the ones who won't make it past lunch. A survivalist walks into a bar, then immediately assesses exits, cover, and whether the peanuts could be bartered for ammo. Why don't survivalists ever get lost? Because every trail looks like a potential secondary bug-out route. What's a survivalist's favorite exercise? The 72-hour bug-out bag deadlift. How many survivalists does it take to start a fire? 1 to start it, 3 to argue about the best method, and 12 to film it for their YouTube channel, just in case society needs the knowledge later. Why did the prepper fail the cooking class? Everything he made was either freeze-dried, vacuum-sealed, or raided for 25 years. What's a survivalist's favorite pickup line? You must be a water filter, because you've purified my whole world. Also, do you know how to purify water? Why do preppers love rain? Free water collection day, plus excellent cover for digging new caches. Longer prepper stories, the ones you just added, the Costco run. A prepper tells his wife, "I'm just running to Costco for paper towels. I'll be back in 20 minutes. 2 hours later, he pulls into the driveway with 6 cases of water, 40 pounds of rice, batteries, canned meat, a folding table, 3 flashlights, and something labeled emergency cheese. His wife looks at the truck and says, "Where are the paper towels?" He stares at her for a second and says, "Well, clearly I wasn't prepared for that question." The blackout. The power goes out in the neighborhood. Everybody starts running around looking for candles, flashlights, batteries, and phone chargers. The prepper calmly walks into the garage, turns on his battery backup, plugs in the refrigerator, makes coffee, turns on a lantern, and sits down. 10 minutes later, the power comes back on. He looks around at all his equipment and says, "You've got to be kidding me. I trained my whole life for this." One is none. A normal person buys 1 flashlight. A cautious person buys 2. A prepper buys 17 flashlights, 5 headlamps, rechargeable batteries, disposable batteries, a solar charger, and 2 lanterns. Then, during the blackout, he spends 20 minutes walking around the house yelling, "Who moved my good flashlight?" The pantry inspection. A man visits his prepper friend and sees an entire room filled with canned food, buckets, rice, beans, water filters, and medical supplies. He asks, "Are you expecting the apocalypse?" The prepper says, "No." The man asks, "Then why do you have enough food for a year?" The prepper replies, "Because apparently my children consider grocery shopping an emergency every 3 days." The prepper dating profile. The prepper fills out an online dating profile. Camping, gardening, water purification, emergency communications, food storage, and tactical medicine. Then he gets to the question, what are you looking for in a partner? Someone kind, loyal, funny, and preferably capable of carrying half the gear. The generator. A prepper spends $4,000 on a generator setup. His neighbor laughs and says, "You know the power barely ever goes out around here." The prepper says, "Exactly." The neighbor asks, "Exactly what?" The prepper says, "That generator is apparently the reason the grid is still functioning." The emergency food. A prepper buys 25 years worth of freeze-dried emergency food. His friend asks, "Does that stuff actually taste good?" The prepper says, I have absolutely no idea. His friend asks, You've never tried it? The prepper replies, Of course not. That's emergency food. Eating it now would create an emergency. The garage. A wife tells her prepper husband, We need to clean out the garage. He says, There's nothing in there we don't need. She points at 6 water filters and says, Why do we need 6? He says, Redundancy. She points at 12 radios. Redundancy. She points at 4 camp stoves. Redundancy. Then she points at him and says, Do I need redundancy here too? Suddenly he decides the garage looks pretty clean. The grocery store panic, a winter storm is announced. Everybody rushes to the grocery store and starts fighting over bread, milk, eggs, and toilet paper. A prepper walks in, looks around, and calmly buys a bag of potato chips. The cashier says, Aren't you worried about the storm? He says, No, I've already got everything at home. She asks, Then why are you here? He looks around at the crowd and says, Entertainment. The bug-out bag. The guy asks his prepper friend, How heavy is your bug-out bag? The prepper says, About 30 pounds. The guy reaches down, grabs the bag, and struggles to lift it. This thing has to weigh 60 pounds. The prepper looks over and says, Oh, you picked up the backup bug-out bag. The coffee problem. A prepper has food, water, medicine, generators, solar panels, radios, fuel, batteries, and enough supplies to survive for months. His friend asks, So you're completely prepared? The prepper says, Almost. His friend asks, What are you still worried about? If I ever run out of coffee? His friend laughs. The prepper doesn't. The water filter. A prepper is showing his friend his water filtration system. He explains sediment filters, activated carbon, ceramic filters, gravity filters, purification tablets, and backup purification methods. His friend says, That seems like overkill. The prepper says, Maybe. Then he looks at the water bottle sitting in his friend's cup holder and asks, How long has that bottle been sitting in your car? His friend says, Since last summer. The prepper quietly hands him a filter. The neighborhood expert. For years, everyone in the neighborhood calls the prepper crazy. Why do you have generators? Why are you storing water? Why do you need all those batteries? Why do you have so much food? Then a major storm hits and the neighborhood loses power. 3 hours later, there's a knock at the prepper's door. It's the same neighbor. He says, Hey, quick question. The prepper smiles and says, Amazing how fast I got promoted from crazy guy to logistics officer. The emergency medical kit. A prepper opens his first aid kit and his friend says, That thing is huge. The prepper says, That's just the small kit. The small kit, yeah. The big one is for actual emergencies. His friend looks through all the gauze, bandages, tourniquets, medications, tape, and splints. Then he asks, So what do you normally use this one for? Opening Amazon packages. The wife's closet. A prepper complains to his wife, You have way too many shoes. She looks at him and says, You have 12 backpacks. He says, Those are completely different. She asks, How? He says, Every backpack has a specific mission. She points toward her closet and says, So do my shoes. The argument ends immediately. The camping trip. The family goes camping with their prepper friend. Everybody else brings sleeping bags, hot dogs, marshmallows, and a cooler. The prepper arrives with a solar generator, water filtration system, weather radio, medical kit, emergency shelter, satellite communicator, multiple flashlights, and 70 feet of paracord. His friend looks at all the equipment and asks, Are we camping or invading Canada? Depends on how the weekend goes. The weather alert. The weather alert comes across the phone. Possibility of severe thunderstorms tonight. Maybe I should bring the patio furniture inside. The prepper checks the batteries, radios, generator, fuel, weather radar, emergency food, water supply, flashlights, medical kit, and alternate evacuation routes. The storm arrives. It rains for 5 minutes. The prepper walks outside, looks at the sky, and says, Exactly as planned. The bucket collection. A friend walks into a prepper's basement and sees dozens of 5-gallon buckets. He asks, What's in all these? Rice, beans, flour, sugar, oats, medical supplies, sanitation equipment, water treatment supplies. The friend points at another bucket and asks, What's in that one? The prepper opens it. It's filled with smaller empty buckets. Why are you storing empty buckets? You never know when you're going to need a bucket. The family emergency drill. A prepper tells his family, Tonight we're practicing a power outage drill. So no internet? Correct. No video games? Correct. No television? Correct. No Wi-Fi? Correct. His son immediately grabs the emergency radio and says, "Dad, this is serious. Call FEMA, the ultimate prepper problem." A prepper spends years preparing for earthquakes, hurricanes, tornadoes, pandemics, power outages, economic collapse, civil unrest, food shortages, water shortages, and cyber attacks. With everything you've prepared for, what disaster scares you the most? The prepper thinks about it for a moment. My wife finding out what all this stuff actually cost. The 5-gallon bucket. A normal person walks into a hardware store and sees a stack of 5-gallon buckets. Those would be good for paint. A prepper sees the exact same stack and thinks, food storage, water hauling, emergency toilet, laundry, gardening, tool storage, rain collection, field shower. His wife walks up and asks, "Why are you staring at the buckets?" "I'm calculating our retirement portfolio." The prepper's retirement plan. The guy asks his prepper friend, "So what's your retirement plan?" "I have rice, beans, canned meat, a garden, solar power, backup water, and enough medical supplies to run a small clinic." "No, I mean financially." The prepper pauses. "Oh, yeah, I was really hoping the beans would cover that too." The prepper's romantic evening. A prepper tells his wife, "I planned a romantic evening for us tonight." She gets excited. "Really?" He says, "Absolutely. What are we doing?" "I charged all the battery banks, tested the lanterns, rotated the emergency water, and reorganized the pantry." She stares at him, "And I bought chocolate. You should have led with the chocolate." The flashlight collection. A friend sees an entire shelf covered with flashlights. "Why do you need so many flashlights?" "Well, this one is for the house. This one is for the truck. This one is for my bag. This one is rechargeable. This one uses AA batteries. This one is waterproof. This one is my backup." His friend points at another one. "What about that flashlight?" "That's the flashlight I used to find the other flashlights." The prepared neighbor. A neighbor knocks on a prepper's door during a blackout. "Hey, do you have any batteries?" "Sure. And maybe a flashlight?" "Sure." "Could I charge my phone?" "Sure. And do you have any extra water?" "Sure." The neighbor smiles and says, "Man, it's really lucky that you have all this stuff." "Yeah, 15 years of planning. Pure luck." Panic buying. A friend asks a prepper, "Did you see everybody panic buying supplies at the store?" "Yeah, it was crazy." "Did you buy anything?" "No. Why not? I panic bought everything 5 years ago." The prepper spreadsheet. A prepper's wife walks past his computer and sees a massive spreadsheet. "What are you working on?" "Food inventory." She looks closer. There are tabs for calories, expiration dates, protein, water requirements, rotation schedules, and replacement costs. "This is ridiculous." "No, ridiculous was the old spreadsheet. This is version 7, the expiration date." A friend is helping a prepper organize his pantry. He picks up a can and says, "This expired 2 years ago." The prepper grabs it and says, "No, that's the best buy date." "What's the difference?" "About 7 years, depending on how brave you are." The prepper's vacation. A prepper tells his family, "We're going on vacation." Everyone gets excited. "Are we going to the beach?" "No." "Disney?" "No." "A resort?" "No." "Where exactly are we going?" "A remote cabin with a well, wood stove, solar panels, garden space, and 2 access roads." "That's not a vacation. You're scouting property again." Survival television. A prepper is watching a survival television show. "I'm completely alone in the wilderness with only 10 survival items." The prepper starts yelling at the television, "Why didn't you pick a saw?" His wife walks into the room and says, "You know he can't hear you, right? That kind of attitude is why he's going home on day 12. The emergency toilet paper. During a shortage, a neighbor asks a prepper, "How much toilet paper do you have stored?" "Enough." "How much is enough?" If society collapses far enough that I have to tell you the exact number, toilet paper is probably the least of our problems. The food rotation system. A prepper explains his food rotation system to a friend. New cans go in the back, older cans move forward. Everything is labeled by date and category. That's incredibly organized, thank you. His wife walks in and asks, "Then why are there 30 cans of beans sitting on the kitchen floor?" Temporary strategic deployment. The prepper at the hardware store. A hardware store employee asks, "Can I help you find something? I need duct tape, tarps, rope, buckets, propane, batteries, work gloves, water containers, and a chainsaw file." The employee pauses. Are you working on a project? No. Then what is all this for? The prepper smiles. Tuesday. The emergency radio. A prepper buys an expensive emergency radio with AM, FM, weather alerts, shortwave reception, solar charging, a hand crank, flashlight, USB charging, and an SOS alarm. Do you actually know how to use all those features? Of course. The friend hands it to him. Turn on the weather channel. There's a long silence. I should probably keep the instruction manual with it. The basement. Someone visits a prepper's house and asks, what's downstairs? The basement. They walk downstairs and see shelves of water, food, medical supplies, tools, batteries, lanterns, and emergency equipment. This isn't a basement. What is it? This is a small Walmart with worse lighting. The prepper's biggest fear. Are you afraid of earthquakes? No. Hurricanes? No. Power outages? No. Food shortages? No. Economic collapse? The prepper shakes his head. So what actually scares you? Someone saying, hey, I borrowed something from your emergency supplies. I don't remember where I put it. The two types of people. There are two kinds of people during the blackout. Where's the flashlight? Which one? The flashlight. Okay, but which one? Kitchen flashlight, bedroom flashlight, vehicle flashlight, headlamp, lantern, rechargeable, AA. I just need to see. I need you to be more specific. Prepper math. If you need one, buy one. 1 is none, 2 is 1, 3 is backup, 4 is redundancy, 5 was on sale, 6 qualified for free shipping, 7 through 12 came in a package deal, and 24? The prepper looks at his wife and says, I can explain. The storm warning. The local news says a major snowstorm could hit overnight. The prepper checks his generator, fuel, propane, food, water, batteries, snowblower, vehicle, weather radio, and backup heat. His neighbor runs to the grocery store and comes home with 4 loaves of bread and 6 gallons of milk. What are you planning on doing during the storm? I don't know. The prepper looks at the groceries and says, apparently opening a bakery. Surviving Tuesday. Do you really think the world is going to end? No. So why do you prepare for emergencies? Because the furnace breaks, storms knock out power, cars get stuck, people lose jobs, water mains break, stores run out of things, and occasionally the whole family gets sick at the same time. So you're not really preparing for the apocalypse? No, I'm just trying to survive Tuesday.